What's good? Here's Russell King here, and today we're just gonna do a quick update slash review of the recent episode of SmackDown, going over everything that just happened, of the storylines that's going on Friday Night SmackDown. We're gonna get straight into it. The first match that happened was Santos Escobar versus Rey Mysterio. This was a very good match, and this match really reminded me how good Rey Mysterio is. I low key be forgetting because recently he was injured, recently returned on last week's SmackDown, called Santos Escobar out. They have the match here. And the moves that Rey Mysterio was just doing in this match was so amazing. The fact that he's still able to move the way he does, you really couldn't even tell he really just don't age. Like, Rey Mysterio is one of those people who just don't age. But this was a phenomenal match. Rey Mysterio was close to picking up the victory, but his son, Dominic Mysterio, interfered. He was wearing a Rey Mysterio mask. He ended up interfering, helping Santos get the victory. And there's, building up the Santos and Rey feud and building up the hatred that Dominic still has for his father. Now, I am curious to why they did this, because Dominic wasn't really supposed to be on SmackDown since Judgment Day wasn't there. Plus, they haven't really interacted since last year's Mania for the most part. So I'm curious to why they did this. Because I don't know how. I'm assuming this is to give something Dom to do at Mania, but not really sure how they're gonna make this connect really. But you know this, but this was a good match, and this just furthers the Santos Escobar and Rey feud. It's not really much to go off of, to be honest. Not much story progress here. It's not really much to go off of, but it was a really good match. Santos got a much needed victory, and it protected Rey Mysterio in the process. The next segment is between Bayley and Naomi. Bayley, confessing to Naomi that she appreciated her help from last week's episode. Naomi tried to make the save, tried to help Bayley out, but unfortunately couldn't. Bayley basically saying she's basically apologizing, appreciate Bayley help. And then Bianca comes and basically is not having it. She's basically saying that she's only apologizing to Naomi because everything that's been happening to Bianca for the past 2 years since she's been feuding with Damage Control is now coming back to haunt her. All of her bad decisions that she was making in the past are now coming back, and basically saying that she's only apologizing because now she's basically dealing with the consequence of her actions. Bayley tries to rebuttal. Bianca's not having it. Then two start yelling over each other, and then they get separated. Naomi separates her and then talks to Bianca. Now, later on, this is still part of the same segment, but they kind of went to Austin Theory and then came back to it. But Naomi and Bianca are talking. Bianca's basically giving her reasons why she wouldn't help Bayley. And she gives valid points. She has good reason. Because, yeah, Bayley was bad to Bianca. Constantly jumping her, constantly trying to cost her opportunity. So she has every right to not help her. But Naomi came to Bayley's defense and said, look, she can't help what happened in the past, but she can help her now. And after the talk, I forgot some of the things Naomi said, but she said something along those lines. But basically, after talking to Bianca, after Naomi left, they shifted towards Bianca. Bianca had like a certain look, but she had a look of like, dang, she might be right. It was more of that type of look. So it looks like Bianca will be helping Bayley, and she will be on Bayley's side for now. It seems that way. Then we get to Austin Theory, Grayson Waller, and the Good Brothers. Now, I don't know why they changed Austin Theory's theme music. I think that was dumb. I don't understand WWE's obsession with changing things that don't need to be changed. They did the same thing with Naomi. They did the same thing with Tiffany Stratton. And did the same thing with Carlito. Don't change things that don't need to be changed. All of those people had great theme songs, and then you change it to something that is worse. Naomi theme song is still good, but it was no need to change it. Like, stop changing things that don't need to be changed. But Austin Theory, Grayson Waller versus the Good Brothers. This match really don't need to be much to be said. Grayson Waller and Austin Theory advance. They get to face whoever the winner of Street Profits and Authors of Pain, which we're going to get to later. They won by, cheating, of course, And the Good Brothers, they weren't going to win this match because they haven't been on TV really. And plus, they're in NXT fighting for an NXT Tag Team Championship match. So they're doing the same thing they basically doing on SmackDown. Of course, they wasn't going to win. So Made no sense for them to win here. Austin Theory and Grayson Waller get the necessary win. Next is Io Sky. Io Sky versus Naomi. Io Sky is about to make her entrance. Well, they're actually playing her theme song, but it's taking her a while to get there. And then they go to backstage, and it's Io Sky jumping Bayley. I was so confused at first because I was like, they could have just done this after the match. But leading up to what they do eventually end up doing, it makes perfect sense why they did this. Io Sky and Naomi. Of course, Io was going to win. You're not going to have the champion lose before Mania. Wins by interference. Damage Control interferes. After the victory, Damage Control jumps Naomi. Naomi actually had the upper hand, actually holding her own until Asuka sprayed her with the mist. But then after she sprayed to the mist, it was basically game over. Then Bianca comes out for the save. Bianca basically did the same thing Naomi was. Basically was handling her own. She basically won before them until eventually the numbers game played into Damage Control favor. Dakota Kai got her from behind, hit her in the leg. Then from there, Bianca and Naomi was both getting stomped out. The numbers game was just too much. The Bayley chants was running wild. They was chanting Bayley, but she got hurt before the match because Io attacked her, so no Bayley was able to make the save and come out. Now, Jade Cargill is officially on the SmackDown roster. We finally got confirmation, and she's going to make her debut next week on SmackDown, which is very interesting. I'm very interested to see how they use her. I'm very excited to see what she does. I love the promo package they gave her. I love the promo she did. And one of my predictions may come true because it looks like Bianca will be helping Bayley and Naomi is helping Bayley. That's 3 against 4. They need one more person, so it could be Jade, but I could be reaching. But I'm very interested to see. I'm very excited to see what Jade does, and I thought they was going to save her until Raw after Mania, but I was wrong. But this segment isn't really that important, but it's Kevin Owens and Pretty Deadly. Kevin Owens is talking to Nick Aldis. Pretty Daddy interferes, talk about how they deserve to be on the WrestleMania card. The typical heel interrupts, babyface have a problem. They set up a match. Kevin Owens, his tag partner is going to be Randy Orton. And for next week, we got Kevin Owens and Randy Orton versus Pretty Daddy. Not really much to say here. The next segment they showed was AJ Styles and LA Knight. LA Knight pulled up to AJ Styles' house and basically run the fade with him. And I love it. This brings more heat, makes it more personal, brings that intensity to this feud. I love this feud. This feud is just petty, man. You got LA Knight getting his revenge for AJ Styles flying 30 hours across the country to Australia just to cost LA Knight the match. LA Knight pulls up to his house, ends up getting arrested. I love this segment. This segment reminded me so much of Randy Orton and Triple H. Not to the same level, but this was really great. This has really added fuel to the feud that it kind of needed. I love it. I'm loving it. LA Knight was hilarious too, talking to the police officer. I love this, bro. This was an amazing segment. Really added more fuel to the fire of this feud. I'm getting more hyped as the weeks go along with this feud. But next up, we got the Street Profits versus the Authors of Pain. Street Profits win. Not really much to say about this match. Very deserving win. The Street Profits go on to face Austin Theory and Grayson Waller to see who will be in the ladder match. Whoever wins that match of next week will be in the ladder match for WrestleMania. Not really much to say about this match. I mean, Authors of Pain really don't need the win, don't deserve the win, to be honest. Really haven't had matches. Give it to the more established team. Give it to just the more established team. And plus, they was the most over in this match. Might as well give them the dub. Not really much to say here. But now we're going to get to the main event, man. The Roman and Cody Rhodes segment. I really enjoyed this segment for the most part. I enjoyed it until it got to the end, but we're going to go over the specific things each person said. So Roman immediately, he just calls Cody Rhodes an idiot. Calls him an idiot immediately. Roman be having me die. He be having me laugh when he when he's on promos, but Roman Reigns calls Cody Rhodes an idiot, and he calls him an idiot for a specific reason. And he said for trusting Seth Rollins. Cody Rhodes started going into detail about trusting Seth Rollins and about how Seth Rollins referred to being Cody's shield. Then Roman Reigns mentioned to Cody that he used to be a part of the shield with Seth Rollins. And he mentions how he thought Seth Rollins was boys, how they was going to be family, and how he was going to be his brother. And then he said, Seth Rollins ended up turning on me, stabbing him in the back, which is true, and saying, what do you think he's going to do to you? Cody responded to that and said that he talked about how the Shield was this unbeatable team and how no one could stop them. And then he brought up, guess what? The Rhodes family was the first one to beat the Shield, which is true. Which is true, which is something I didn't know, but which is true. Yep, Dusty and him. I mean, not Dusty. Goldust and him defeated, you know, defeated the Shield for the tag titles, if I'm not mistaken. And then he also brought up that Seth Rollins, then he brought up the Seth Rollins point of, yeah, Seth Rollins may turn on him and he may not be able to trust Seth Rollins. But he also said Seth Rollins may even hate him, but he hate Roman Reigns more. And then this leads to also Cody end up asking, speaking of trust, can you trust your tag partner, aka The Rock? And I love how they start planting the seeds of potentially Rock turning on Roman to cost him the title. And he's basically referring to how, Roman's the tribal chief, but The Rock is calling him the final boss, who's really in charge, who's really the head of the table. I love how he's doing that. I love how they're doing that. I love how they're teasing us with that. They're teasing us with potentially them having animosity towards each other, and eventually one of them is going to turn on which. We just don't know who. I think it's going to be The Rock, of course. But I love how Cody planted that seed of that. And then Roman Reigns basically kind of shrugs it off, and then he calls Cody Rhodes a politician. Which is I remember which was referring to what he called on Pat McAfee's show, which when he gave the explanation, it kind of makes sense because Cody Rhodes do come off as a politician at times. But then also afterwards, he called Cody Rhodes, he is the best number 2 in the business. Basically, he can't handle the burden of being a number 1. He's not on the level of being a number 1, which Roman made some great points. And one of the things he kept on, back to the politician point. He kept on talking about how Cody constantly make promise after promise after promise, but never ends up delivering on his promise. But then Cody ends up responding to that, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Cody ended up responding to Roman and saying that Roman is basically a very great performer and that people are going to look up to Roman and people are going to look up to the next generation. The next generation are going to be the next Roman Reigns. He's basically going to be what John Cena was to the other generations, what Stone Cold and The Rock was to their generation. Basically, the next generation are going to look up to Roman Reigns, which is kind of true. Then they did something that I kind of don't like because they did this last year with Cody. He tried to shake Roman Reigns' hand, and I don't understand why because, mind you, this is the guy that cheated you out of your WrestleMania match. This is the same guy that's been disrespecting you not since WrestleMania, but he's been disrespecting you. Don't understand the sign of respect. This is also the same guy who jumped you. I don't really understand why Cody is showing so much respect. It's more of an on and off switch, Cody. One moment Cody gets real disrespectful and brings that energy, that more aggression, and then he wants to go back to being this happy-go-lucky babyface. But let's get to the real serious part of when, after the segment is over, when Roman refused to shake his hand. Roman takes a while to get out of the ring. I don't know, he's talking to Paul, but then he's talking to Cody. He finally gets out the ring. It takes a while to do this. I knew something was going to happen, but it was taking a long time. He snaps his fingers, and then Jimmy and Solo come out. Now, we all knew that they weren't alone. Once Paul Heyman said, come alone, and Cody agreed on last week, we all knew that the bloodline wasn't coming on. So Jimmy and Solo are walking around. And I'm getting confused. I'm like, they're taking a long time to walk, but then they don't walk to jump Cody. They walk around the ring to go where Roman's at, which is towards the entrance area. So I'm like, why are they setting it up like this? I'm like, isn't the whole point is to jump Cody? Why are you going towards Roman when you could just enter the ring and attack Cody? But then you got Roman, Solo, and Jimmy all standing next to each other towards the entrance. And then they finally revealed that Jey Uso and Seth Rollins was in the crowd. And then they, basically they come towards Cody Rhodes slightly in front of the ring and have a stare down. That part, I understand what they was going for because it was like a kind of a cool moment, but the execution was kind of bad because it took way too long and it was just weird. Because I'm like, the whole point of having the numbers advantage as a heel is to jump the babyface, but it's like they didn't do that though. It's like, what was the point? It's like it kind of felt like they were just stalling. I feel like they could have got the same result if they would have just tried to attack Cody, but in the midst of trying to attack, Seth Rollins and Jey Uso come out, and then they go back and forth. Then Jey Uso and Solo somehow escapes, and then they could have had the stare down. I feel like the way they did it was kind of weird, and it just felt, I don't know, it just felt off. I didn't like the way they did it, but I understand what they was going for. But this was a very great episode of SmackDown. Story progressed, and I wonder what you guys think. What do you guys think of this episode of SmackDown? I'm very, very excited for WrestleMania, man. And the fact that we still supposed to have a couple more matches supposed to be announced. Very excited. Definitely going to need some more Cody and Roman segments because majority of that has been with The Rock and Cody. So I'm very to see what they do here. And what do you guys think? What do you guys think are gonna what's gonna happen for the next following weeks? But yeah, that's it.